What's going on, everybody? Welcome again to another episode of Luke's Mind Power podcast. Today, I have an extraordinary individual. Her name is Sabrina. She's from New York, and she is a certified life coach as well as she's in project management and interior design. When coaching clients, colleagues, and friends, she's focused on making a direct deposit of motivation, encouragement, and inspiration into many people's lives every day. When she's engaged in managing a project and designing space, she's primarily focused on incorporating 3Cs concept, which is fostering communication and collaboration, as well as enhanced creativity to build more of a cohesive work environment and space for her clients. She's also a published author of several books and was named the Life Coach of the Year last year from my powerhouse global peers in the UK. So please help me in welcoming Sabrina.
Thank you, Luke. I am so grateful and appreciative of this opportunity to actually have a profound conversation with such an amazing and extraordinary individual as yourself. So I appreciate it. I am so humbled by this.
Yeah, thank you. I received that. I'm very aware of what you just said, and you know what? Sometimes it's overwhelming. You don't actually realize the impact or the work that you do, and so sometimes you discount yourself as well when someone gives you a compliment. And so this is for everyone out there listening. We'll get straight into it. That if someone gives you a compliment, really own that and understand that that person is giving you that for a reason. And don't push it away, because I used to push compliments away. I know a lot of people do, because it's just like you kind of feel like, yeah, it's okay, nah. But it's like, no, take it, take that, you know.
I agree.
Yeah. So Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us today. You've got a huge story, and I'd love for you to kind of go into how you have evolved into the woman that you are. And there's a lot of resiliency behind you. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of, challenging times that you have had to go through to get you to where you are now. You know, I say more pain, more gain. And I know that in the moment that is really challenging, in the moment that is really tough to sit in a position where you're dealing with or grieving with death or something in your life. And for me to stand up and say, this is building you, this is fueling you, this is going to make you really strong. In the moment, you can't see it. You can't you can't say, just think in hindsight what it's going to be like in 6 months or 12 months or 2 years, how you're going to be because of it. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I want to say this, that we all have gone through loss, whether it's loss of a relationship, a family member, a job that we, loved so much and we dedicated our life to, a business that we thought, was going to grow and provide that security that we desire. But I also know that pain has a purpose. And what I mean by that is every single situation or circumstance that we face that is painful to us, it has a purpose. And I always say, when pain shows up at your door, you invite it to stay, so it teaches you what you need to know. And every situation is different. So although I've, dealt with many different painful moments, especially with my family members, losing 2 sisters to cancer, losing my father unexpectedly, losing my brother, and then even recently in April, losing my mom. So, but I know that I've had different relationships with each one of them, and the pain feels different, right? That loss feels different. But I know that, like the other losses, even jobs, I know that I'm resilient enough, and I've had some valuable life lessons through those painful moments that have allowed me to keep going forward one day at a time, and still pouring into other people as well along the way.
Yeah. Wow. I love what you said, that pain has a purpose. Again, when it's in the moment and when you're suffering or when you're in that dark place, that is the challenge. That is the hard part, to understand that, you know, I believe everything happens for a reason. And there is
Yes,
a
it does.
purpose. There is a purpose for that pain. There is a purpose why I had to struggle, I believe, in my opinion, from when I finished school till I was 33. And by struggle, I mean confusion. By struggle, I mean disconnected from myself. By struggle, I mean lack of self-confidence and low self-esteem, low self-worth, did not love myself, did not accept myself for who I was. Couldn't look in the mirror and say, I love you for just the way you are. And I think living with that in mind, that I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what my purpose is in this lifetime, was a struggle in itself. And I wasn't even aware of it. If you had said to me that, you know, don't worry, this pain has a purpose, I would have said, what are you talking about? You know,
I can relate to that. I can. What you
yeah.
said, I can definitely relate to all of it. I will say this, that when I lost my dad, and I'm a daddy's girl through and through, and my dad was my best friend. He was my everything, right? And it took me 3 years just to even process the pain and the grief of losing my dad. 3 years. But in those 3 years, I received a breakthrough in my brokenness. It wasn't when I felt healed, it's when I was still broken
Mm.
from that painful loss. And I had an epiphany one day, and I realized that I put too much emphasis on one person always guiding me and giving me the answers, or at least giving me the answers I wanted to hear, right? Versus me processing my own life's journey and path. So it was a huge breakthrough for me while I still felt broken. And that's the testimony, and that's something that I express to people all the time. Sometimes you're going to get your breakthrough when you're in your breakdown.
Sometimes you're going to get your breakthrough when you're in your breakdown. Yeah, but that's the reality. And it is kind of unfortunate in a sense that we have to go through this kind of adversity and challenge in order for us to really, really start to reassess our lives and say, hey, you know what? This is happening to me for a reason. I'm not happy. I'm feeling the pain. I'm struggling. And well, I guess the universe is telling me that I need to change. I need to change something. And it's only through those experiences that, I mean, we are here in this space right now, sharing our wisdom and dropping nuggets and planting these seeds of opportunity for people to listen in and say, okay, let's do a self-assessment on myself right now, even though I'm not hurting or I'm not in a challenging time, but what can I do that will redirect my life and make it even better, instead of waiting? Because that's how I live right now. For example, beautiful example, diet, food, what you consume, what you eat, what you put into your body. How much do you love yourself, right?
Right.
In order to feed your body with the right nutrients, vitamins, food, because most people will act when they get sick.
Of course.
Okay.
That's,
When you get
yeah.
cancer or when you get some sort of disease,
Yeah.
when your body reacts to something, maybe it's stress. You've had too much stress for the last 15 years. Your body says, I've had enough. I'm sick now. Right.
Yes.
So instead of waiting till your body reacts and says, I've had enough of you treating me or eating the wrong foods, I now can't heal. Right.
Yes.
Take
Yeah.
action now. And so
Exactly.
that's just what I did 7 or 8 months ago.
Mhm.
I just changed my diet and I said, you know what, I'm not going to wait till I get sick. I'm going to start taking my health seriously now. And prior to that, obviously, I didn't take my health seriously because I consumed a lot of alcohol, a lot of drugs, and I didn't love myself in that sense.
Right.
Right. So I've done a lot of damage, I know, to my cells, to my body. And so for me, it's right now to actually love myself and give myself that respect that I didn't give myself for so many years. And I'm very blessed to still be here.
Exactly. You're living testimony. You really are. And so that within itself is very inspiring, right? And I feel like everyone's story can be that catalyst to someone else. It's
Mm.
healing to someone else, shifting the paradigm. Like it's just one conscious shift. That's all it takes, is to go into a totally different direction. One. And I always say that fear, like when you are trying to be as vulnerable as possible, fear is what's pulling the strings. So if we just cut those strings, those ties, right? Just clip it. Fear has no control then, right? Then you are forced to be vulnerable. You are forced to lean in. I always say sometimes we have to lean into our discomfort to get comfortable. It's not the other way around, right? So if we just embrace the discomfort, no matter where that discomfort is coming from, and we'll get clear on what needs to shift, what needs to go. I always say, give it the gift of goodbye. It no longer serves a purpose, right? So if it's not adding value, if it's not raising your vibrational energy, if it's not allowing you to live your best life, it has to go. And that could be people, that could be habits, that could be the way that we eat, the lack of exercise, whatever that is, that's not serving our highest good, it has to go. But I say give it the gift of goodbye because it just feels better.
Yeah, powerful stuff, Sabrina. I resonate with what you're saying. Give it the gift of goodbye. The bigger challenge is that I've experienced and that I know is it's hard to show up every day. It's
Yes.
hard to get up out of bed, to have a morning routine, to meditate, to eat healthy, to go for that morning walk, to then drive to work, and then work for 7 or 8 hours, come home, go to the supermarket, buy some food for the fridge, make dinner, sit down, relax, go to the gym, read, watch some TV, hang out with your partner, hang out with your friends, then go to sleep and do it all again.
Yes, it sounds exhausting, right?
Or even be tempted to eat junk food as well because you're at home, you're watching TV, you're watching a movie. Okay, let's have some popcorn or chips or Coca-Cola or whatever it is. And so there's all these things outside of us that really control us, and it's hard to like distance yourself from that. So what are some tips for people to, because I feel it. I love talking this way because this is what I go through. Like I sit with myself sometimes and I say, man, like this is exhausting.
Right. Exactly.
Like how much work do you, like I'm doing everything by myself. Like I go to the gym, I meditate, I've got my whole schedule for my day. Even like my diet, I do it all. And I'm not perfect. I have to say I'm not perfect, right? But I have to cook my own food. I have to buy my own food. I don't have anyone doing it for me.
Right.
So that I think is the whole challenge, especially if you've got kids and you got to provide and you've got to get them ready for school and you've got to cook for them and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's so easy for us as coaches to say, you know, say goodbye to fear, or get out there and be uncomfortable and move towards that fear and just do it, right? Because you're tired.
Right. But don't we deserve self-care? And
Mm,
it boils down to us saying that we matter. It's everyone else matters, and we show it every single day to everyone that we care about, everyone that we love. I don't care if it's colleagues, I don't care if it's our clients, if it's our family, whomever. We show it. So when do we turn that lens on us and say, what is it within myself that needs tender, loving care? that only I can give it, not somebody else. So I believe that self-care is the highest expression of self-love. And so I know that saying no does not require an explanation. No is no. It's a clear definition. It means no. So once I started doing that many years ago, telling people no, but if I was talking to them on the phone, I would say it with a smile because it sounds different. If I saw them in person, I would tell them no with a smile. But I didn't say, but because I've worked 6 days a week for 10 hours each day working on this multi-million dollar construction project, trying to renovate this space for a client, right? No, because I need to go get my nails done and my toes done and go get a massage. I would give people, oh, I don't feel like driving that far. So when I started saying no and not providing an explanation, it felt great. And everyone was like, are you okay? Is something wrong? And I said, no. So you see where I'm going? Like the more you implement the word no, you're giving yourself the self-care that you need, mind, body, and spirit.
It's amazing how you just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, how do we create healthy boundaries? How do we say no, especially to family and close friends that you're so used to being connected with and attached? How do we detach ourselves from the guilt that comes with putting yourself first?
I will say this. I don't look at it as guilt because everyone in my life and my close core circle of people, they know how much I love them. I've spent my whole life proving that. So when I turn that love, that self-love onto myself, I'm being selfless, not selfish. And anyone who does not appreciate me, loving me so that I could give them more whenever I'm free, then that's someone that's not adding value to my life. So it's almost like I'm on the side of the road with a quarter of a tank of gas. You come by, you see my hazard flashes on, and you come by and you have a full tank of gas, but you don't stop to give me gas so that I could keep going. So I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't give you what I don't have. So what I found is that when I kept telling my family and friends and partners, no, I don't want to do this, I can't do that, but not giving an explanation, because no never requires an explanation. They started to see, wow, she's really focused on her. She's poured into us for so long. Now she's focused on herself. And yes, did relationships fall by the wayside? Absolutely. But then those are selfish people. If they don't see that loving you and focusing on yourself is just as important, then those relationships are just meant to fall by the wayside. If you can reignite those relationships with healthy boundaries, then that's a beautiful thing, because having boundaries have to matter. If we don't have them, people will always cross them because they were benefiting by you not having any to begin with.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we can be unconscious of because we're just so used to answering that phone call, saying yes to somebody saying, oh, I'm going to come over on the weekend, or why don't you come over to our place for a barbecue? And automatically you kind of feel obliged. And because you're so used to being connected with these individuals, it feels hard to say no. But yeah, this is about, it's not selfish. It's self-care, and
Yes.
when you're turning inwards, it is about taking your power back and giving you that attention that you so easily and dearly give to others.
Yes. And you hit the nail on the head. It's taking your power back because we give it up freely, especially to the people that we love, right? We just do. It's something that we do unconsciously, so that you hit that on the nail on the head with taking back your power, because we've given it away for so long. But the
Mm,
moment we do that, those individuals who feel as though they've had that power over you, they're going to fight even harder to prove their case,
mm,
right? They're going to make it seem as though what you're doing is not good for you, but it's really them projecting that it's really not good for them, what you're
Mm,
doing, right? But they'll
mm.
twist it and make you feel as though, no, I haven't seen you and we miss you and we love you. Okay, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate that. Maybe we can do a FaceTime call. You get what I'm saying? I don't have to physically be there when we have technology, right? And sometimes I'll say, well, what is it that you miss about me the most when I'm in person with you? Right? Is it me cooking 5 dishes because I'm a great cook and bringing it over to your house, right? Is it, do I bring that warmth and love and positive energy into your home that you gravitate to? So I always like ask people like, so what is it that you're missing out on when you're not in my presence? And just wait for the answer.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, but I think it's just the expectation because people are so used to you saying yes, right? You always say yes,
Mhm.
and
I don't
it's
anymore. I
uh,
don't do that anymore.
yeah, and so they're not you. That for you to change the script and to say, yeah, what is it that you miss about me when you see me in person? Again, this is all different behavior than what the norm is, right? Somebody that you're communicating with or that you've been friends with for a long time or even your family, all of a sudden you say, yeah, look, I'm not available. What is it that you miss about me when I'm in person?
Exactly.
Again, it would be looked at as like, what kind of a question is that? Right? Because
Yes, yeah, it is. It's an uncomfortable question. And it's meant to be uncomfortable because I want to see your spirit of authenticity. I want to see that you're saying, I miss you because you always bring this positive energy into my home, right? Not that you cook 5 dishes because you're a great cook and I know we're going to have great food.
hmm,
Because that's material, right? Food is yes, it brings people together, but if you said that I add something of value that even when I leave, you still feel that, to me, that's important. That's so important. And if you can't answer the question, then I don't need to be in your presence.
hmm. Sabrina, what is the purpose of being a coach and how can you help others in their life? Why does someone need a life coach? Why should someone consider saying, you know what, I know I can be more than where I'm at. I've done really well. I've gone to university. I'm an engineer.
Mhm.
Um, I've got myself an investment property. I live in my own apartment. Uh, you know, why should I get involved with working with a life coach so that I can better my life? And how could that be? That I could be more, or that I could redirect myself in a different avenue to be more abundant and more positive and more peaceful and more happy.
What I would say is we can help them with their blind spots because we don't really know them that well, right? And even if we do, if they're family members, if they're friends, if they're colleagues, and whomever, we don't know every aspect of them. We only know the aspects of them that they show, right? And the stuff that they hide, we don't know. So coaches are here to help you with your blind spots. And we're here to help you unravel the layers of stuff that's beneath the surface. We got to get to a substantive conversation and go beyond the superfluous. And that is going to require that that person leans into whatever discomfort through those discussions to unravel whatever it is. It could be one thing, it could be 10 things that's holding them back. But like I said before, fear is what's pulling the strings of vulnerability. So if we can help them sever those ties with just being fearful so they can open up and create that safe space for them. And I think a lot of coaches that I connect with and we talk and we go to, we go to conferences together. Sometimes we're in Zoom calls. If you create that safe space for people, right? That's what people need, a non-judgmental space. And sometimes if they go to, a close colleague, a friend, a partner, or whatever, they might feel judged. We're not here to judge anybody. So you need, everyone needs coaching. We all do. We all need it at some point in our lives. But like I said before, we're giving you the tools. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to give you the tools so that you can become vulnerable enough to show up in the world as your authentic self and to become the best version of yourself. That is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that ego plays a part in why someone would not consider getting a coach?
Absolutely. Ego is basically the representative of our inner child. Everyone has an inner child. We all do. And ego holds the inner child hostage. So the inner child can't defend itself, right? Because it's operating from this mindset of when they were much younger. An ego has to show up. Ego will always show up to defend the inner wounded boy or inner wounded girl. And the moment that we set that inner child free, ego dies. It cannot thrive if it can't protect something or someone.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Absolutely. Talking about inner children, I think that we all have it, and a lot of us are unconscious of the fact that we are a product of our environment. We have evolved because of our experiences of what we went through when we were younger, and a lot of that still lingers. A lot of that still connected with us, even
Yep.
though, again, the ego can come into play and say, I've got this, I'm good, I don't need healing, I'm all right. It took me a lot of triggers. It took me a lot of awareness. It took me a lot of time to actually step back and to turn inwards and to start to study myself and try to understand why I get triggered, why I get emotionally charged when people say specific things to me. And it was very frustrating. One of those people being my mother, other family members as well, that would say certain things to me that just wouldn't make me feel good about myself. And so a lot of the times I would just, in the past, I would just let it be and I wouldn't even question it. I would just be upset for a little bit, frustrated, and then I would move on. But I never questioned it. I never stopped and said, why do I react like that? Why do I get triggered? Why do I get anxious? Why does my heart rate increase? Why do I blush? Why do I go red when someone says something like that, or someone tries to speak to me in a way that makes me feel insecure or unsafe or not supported?
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time to realize that that was, every time that I reacted like that, that was my inner child that I haven't given it that attention to, that I haven't given that love to, that I haven't, that's always been seeking external validation from others. And
I
again,
love,
yeah, go on.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I love that you talked about validation. So I want you to expound on that, the validation.
Yeah, the validation was something that I so dearly wanted from others, from my mother, from my brother-in-law, from just everyone outside, because I felt connected to them. You know, I felt very close. I built close relationships, and so I came to realize that the one thing that I wanted was just for people to believe in me, just for people
Right.
to accept me for who I am and for what I want to do in my life, and just be happy for me. I still wanted that, especially from my mother.
Right.
And I came to realize
Mm-hmm.
that I had to actually intentionally reparent myself and
Bingo.
not be waiting for my mother to come and say, Luke, I believe in you. I love you. Whatever you want to do in your life, I support you 100%. Whatever makes you happy. Because that's my approach to everybody that I come into contact with. Whatever makes you happy and whatever you believe in and whoever you are, as long as you're happy, I support you. Because it's your life and it's your
Right.
decision. And I have no right to come in and try to tell you how to be, how to change, what's right, what's wrong. You need to make those. I can help and give you the tools and strategies for that, but I'm not here to tell you or change you. It's you that has to make those discerned decisions. And the moment that I realized that for myself was that I took my power back. I started acknowledging my inner child. I've got pictures of my younger self in my bedroom, and I look at that little boy and acknowledge him, and I tell him that I love him. But the moment that I took that is I released that expectation. I released that energy of thinking that I needed someone else to push me forward, to give me that support and that love and that credibility. And the moment I did that, wow, I set myself free. It's incredible. I'm
Yes.
so much more in a peaceful state. I'm continuously healing. I'm feeling so much more confident within myself, but also understanding that still people are going to judge me. People are going to judge me for the way that I live, for the things that I need to do, that I know I need to do in order for me to really change the world, in order for me to be the change agent and the inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, that personality that I know that I am. I know what I need, but it's this foreign territory that you start to move into that others haven't been there, and they don't know how it feels, and they don't know what you're going through. That is the challenge, because it's so unfamiliar and foreign that it's kind of fearful, right? Because you're moving away from the norm.
I agree. I agree. And I also think that when people judge you along your path of transformation and evolution, it's because they're still holding on to that older version of you.
Mm,
So it's like the 1.0 version, that's the version they remember.
yep.
But the 3.0 version, so you went from 1.0 to 3.0, because they don't have access to the 3.0 version of you, they will only talk about the 1.0 version because that's the only version they know. Because in order for them to get access to the new you, the person you've evolved into, that would mean that they would have to elevate their own consciousness. That would mean that they would have to shift the paradigm in their own life. That would mean, because I always say that you can only meet people at the level in which they're willing to meet themselves.
Mm, yeah.
You can't go any deeper, right? Because if they're blocking you from getting to that next level of themselves, it's because they haven't even gone there. So why would they give you the key to unlock the gates when they're holding the key, right? I always say, don't put keys in someone else's pocket to your happiness, right? So why would I turn over the keys to somebody else in order for them to unlock my happiness? It's an inside job. So when people judge, it's them projecting onto you something that is still not healed within themselves. And if they do know you, if they are close enough to you, perhaps it's their guilt that they feel and they see every time they're around you or they talk to you, because they're struggling with, maybe I could have done something differently. And so it comes out in a way that might not sound loving, that might not sound like they're creating a safe space, but it's all about their projection. And so when coaching individuals, I always ask them this one question when that comes up, because that comes up a lot. I ask them one question. Do you think the person who is criticizing you is coming from a place of awareness or coming from a place of guilt? Because if they're coming from a place of awareness, then they'll approach you with empathy and compassion,
Mm,
no matter where you're at on your journey,
yeah.
right? So I ask people to answer that question. They don't have to answer it to me. They need to answer the question. Where is the person coming from? So that helps with either forging, cultivating a better relationship so that that person can understand you better, or perhaps maybe you need to stay away from that person because that's the healthiest thing for you to do so that you're not triggered, right? We all get triggered by different things. We all have been triggered. I remember, I used to go to Kohl's. It's a department store here in New York City with my dad. And he used to get Dockers and his, plaid shirts because he loved to go fishing and stuff like that, right? And I remember a year after my dad passed, I went into the store and I thought I was strong enough to do this by myself. I had a breakdown. I was on the floor bawling And the folks in the store, they had seen me in there so often, the customer service representatives, they said, "Are you okay, Sabrina?" I said, "No, I want my dad." And they was like, "Where's your dad?" And in that moment, I said, "He's dead." So just going into that store by myself was an emotional trigger for me that I could not have anticipated. But I said, okay, you're not ready to go back into that store. So don't do that to yourself, because you still have some more healing
Mm,
to do, right? So if
yeah.
something's triggering us, that means that something is still not healed within ourselves, whatever that is. And that's what I try to instill in some of my clients when they're struggling with that. You know, how do they deal with triggers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that also it's your awareness of your own reactions and the way that you communicate, and also, again, setting boundaries for yourself so that you're not around the people that don't appreciate you in the way that you should be appreciated.
Absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. I
Because there
agree.
are there are people out there that, and it could be family, that don't uh, love you the way that you should be loved, and so it's very challenging for you to keep that peaceful state and to be very open when you're giving, but then you're not receiving it
Right.
because there's
Exactly.
judgment or the lack of understanding or lack of awareness, you know? So
Yes.
absolutely. Sabrina, you're an author and you have a couple of books that you've written. Can you tell us a little bit about your books?
Well, the first book, actually, these are books that I co-authored with
Sure.
other phenomenal individuals. The first book was Finding Your Voice. And I thought that when I was asked to join that particular project to write this book, I thought it was awesome, because how often do we find that we don't have a voice? I don't care what culture, I don't care what age you're at. People always say at some point in their life, they felt they didn't have a voice. And I talked about self-worth, and you are enough. And that knowing that you are enough wherever you're at in your stage of your life's journey, that's going to be the catalyst to get you to that next part of your journey and the next part of your journey without anyone validating you. And the second book, which was just released, is about courage, confidence, and leadership. And we all are the CEOs of our own lives. We really are. We don't have to look at it as only certain people become CEOs. No, we're all CEOs of our lives. We must cultivate those leadership skills, right? So that we become more confident and courageous to step out into the world and show up the way we're supposed to show up, without mask, right? Being authentic to ourselves, vibrating on that highest vibrational energy that we can possibly do, so that we can bring more of that back into our space, right? And with the leadership, courage, and confidence, I talk about emotional intelligence. A lot of people don't talk about that. EQ is so important. You can have all the degrees, you can have all the initials after your name, in front of your name. It doesn't mean anything if you haven't cultivated your emotional intelligence, which is EQ. There are a lot of intelligent people. I talk to intelligent people all the time. Half of them lack empathy, and their emotional intelligence is very low. So how do we cultivate that? So I talk about, how do you cultivate your emotional intelligence? We all can do it. We can. And once we do that, now when you look at this wheelhouse of leadership, people don't necessarily want to follow someone because they have a title. People follow people they believe in. So I say it's not about the role, it's about the goal. Do we have directional agreement? Do you have the courage to admit when you're wrong, if you made a mistake? Do you have the courage to take risk? Because risk takers are successful people. If you don't take risk, then you will stay in that status quo. You won't grow. You won't be stretched. You won't go out into the world and say, you know what, I need to make a right turn, but I made a left turn. So it encompasses all of that, and I'm really proud of that body of work. And I just feel as though, like, every day I get up, Luke, I want to pour into people and make those direct deposits of motivation, inspiration, and empowerment, so that they can go out into the world and live their best life. That's just what I'm here to do. So I know my calling, and I'm living it every day.
Hey, they say purpose is a great alarm clock.
Yes, I love it. I'm going to use that quote. I love it.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
it's not easy sometimes, it's challenging to get out of bed, man. It's like, especially when it's cold, you're just like, I don't want to. But yeah, when you have that desire and that mission and that purpose, man, you can't, it's like you can't afford to just lie in there and waste time. Time is of the essence, and there's people out there that need you. But yeah, of course, it's a super priority to pour into yourself, build yourself up, take your power back, be able to be comfortable with saying no. Don't feel guilty for doing what's right for you. Make yourself a number one priority, because when you do that, and you fill yourself up, you will pour. It will spill over to everyone that's around you. You know.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, you
Yeah.
talked about self-worth, and then the other book. What was it that you talked about in that one? That was about,
The emotional
yes,
intelligence,
emotional
E-
intelligence. So
EQ.
yeah, so can you just touch on that emotion? So if someone says emotional intelligence, what's that? I've never heard of that before.
Well, emotional intelligence is your ability to actually sit with someone, and they might be discussing something that you have no experience in, you've never had to deal with yourself, you don't have any knowledge about it, but you sit with the intent to understand, not to respond. You sit and listen with the intent to understand and not respond. And most people, when they're leaning into a discussion with someone, they feel that they have to go into fix it mode. But
Mm.
that's not what emotional intelligence is. And it's also being able to channel your emotions, right? So sometimes when people say something that might trigger you for whatever reason, or me or anyone else, I don't respond, because that's the most powerful response you can give someone, is no response. And that's how you keep your power also. And that's how you keep cultivating your emotional intelligence. What do I focus my energy on, and what do I just turn the other way on? It can't be both. I can't lean into every single, it's like every battle is not my battle. And if I have nothing to say, I have nothing to say. It doesn't mean that I'm powerless. No, I'm more powerful when I don't say anything.
Amazing, Sabrina. You're speaking my language, but it's just amazing because you know what? Like these forms of communication or understanding, like emotional intelligence, is something that I already practice, but I didn't call it that. Because,
Wow.
well, because it's about, protect your energy,
Right.
protect your peace, be more conscious of how much you give, be more conscious of how much you invest into that conversation, whether or not that is really necessary, whether or not that is feeding you the energy that you need, whether or not you're talking about something that's adding value to your life. And
Yes.
and so I'm already doing that simply because I'm in tune with what I need, and I'm standing guard at the door of my mind.
Oh, I love that.
There
Oh,
are
I
a
love
lot of
that.
there are a lot of conversations, even with family, like with my mum. Sometimes she says certain things, or with my dad, or they're talking about that, and it's not that I'm not paying attention or not listening, but I'm just choosing how much I give, because sometimes it's about someone else, sometimes it's gossiping, sometimes it's about the news, and these are kind of things that I don't like to invest my energy into. So it's about holding on to your power, and uh, you know just being more aware
Yes.
of what you give. It's not that, again, this can be seen, oh, well, that's just selfish. You don't want to communicate with why don't you want to get involved with conversation with your parents? It's not that. But again, I've noticed myself, people can look at me as saying, wow, he's become a lot more quieter.
Or they say you're aloof. I love that when they call me aloof. It's, well, I'm not putting my energy, like you said, into anything that doesn't add value or doesn't create a higher vibrational energy around me,
Yeah.
like within my soul. Like if
Yeah,
it's not
man.
feeding my soul in a good way, I'm not going to give it more energy. So a lot of times when people get excited, I don't get excited, and they look at me like, well, why isn't she like, excited? It's so I'm going to add to the collective low vibrational energy or high vibrational energy. I'd rather be on the higher side than the lower side, right? So if I'm not getting myself entrenched in this, like you said, whether it's gossip, whether it's something petty, I don't care what it is. Sometimes I don't say anything and everyone's like, oh, she's so aloof. No, it's not that. I don't invest my energy into something that's negative because I get to choose. Every day I wake up, I get to choose my thoughts. I get to choose my actions. I get to choose my deeds. I get to choose what I watch, what I don't watch, what I listen to, what I don't listen to. And if I need to center myself for my clients. So if I'm off centered, then what value am I bringing to a client? I want to bring them the best of me so that I can get the best out of them in our discussions, right? So I have to center myself. I have to protect my energy. And that's with everybody. That's with everyone.
And that's why you are the CEO of your life, because you
Yes,
have the choice. And
yes,
it's to
exactly.
make all these different choices every single day.
Yes, yes,
It's very true. Again, from the other side, people can go, well, then he just thinks he's too good for us.
yes, I hear that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
But maybe you are, but then maybe you are because you're at a different stage of your life.
yeah, but it's look, I've gotten to the point where, because I know my self-worth, I know who I am, I know what I'm doing and where I'm going, in the most humblest way possible. But I'm
Mhm.
just confident in my own skin that not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to hear you. Not everybody's going to understand you. But it is the people that maybe judge you that I'm okay now with accepting that I will be judged and I am being judged. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Right? Because again, it's just a lack of awareness.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And sometimes you just don't give it energy. That's, I just don't give it too much thought and too much energy. And I'm good. I sleep very good at night. So it's just like I will only focus on I heard this expression, what you focus on, it expands, right? So the
Yes,
more
yes.
positive energy you focus on, the more that's going to come back to you, right? If you focus on what somebody said to you 2 weeks ago because it still bothers you, then guess what? They're probably going to ring your phone or be in your presence and do something else to trigger you because what they said 2 weeks ago, you haven't released it. And so there we go again. We're giving away our power, right? So I always protect my energy to the best of my ability, and I show up in the world every day as my authentic self, not needing anybody's stamp of approval, not looking and seeking for validation from anybody, but knowing my purpose and my calling is to inspire, empower, and motivate as many people as possible so that they too can live their best life. That's what I'm here to do. That gives me my greatest joy when I'm able to do that.
It's amazing, Sabrina. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. You've dropped a lot of powerful nuggets of wisdom, of awareness, of living your best life, confidence, uh, you know, building up that high vibration and living on that high vibration. I like to say high altitude.
Yes.
It's because I can feel it, I can see it through you. You're vibrating with love and positivity and hope and faith and a smile, and you have a gracious way of speaking and expressing yourself, and you really are using your gift of communication to empower others to live their best life. So I really want to acknowledge you for that, and for
Thank you.
the work that you are doing. We've all come from challenging experiences in our life, and for you to have gone through what you've gone through with all of the death in your family, it
Yeah.
truly shows how much of a warrior and a gladiator you are, to now have healed yourself, to continue to heal yourself, to continue to develop yourself, push yourself, and raise that vibration, so that now you are full, you continue to be outpouring, and you spill over to everybody else that you come into contact with. So thank you for the work that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. And this was a great conversation. And I know that collectively, we're going to make a huge difference difference in many people's lives around the world. We're already doing it.
Amazing. Sabrina, just one question before we go. What is your definition of loving yourself?
The definition of loving myself is making sure that every single day I start my day with self-care and I end my day with self-care.
That's
That's the
beautiful.
highest expression of self-love, is self-care. Started, I meditate in the morning, that's self-care, right? Centering my third eye, right? Opening up that third eye, right? Before I go to bed, I meditate. I think about what I'm grateful for and what did I do to be a blessing to other people, right? But then I also end my day with meditation or reading something that actually pours into my soul, so that I can get up the next day and do this all over again with the same joy, the same positive vibrational energy, the same zest for life. And that's what I do. So it's about self-care.
Beautiful. Sabrina, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lou.